Hey crafters, it's Artsy Craftsy Phoebe and welcome to another card tutorial. Today I'm going to show you how I made these fun and playful Christmas cards. Now it might look like a lot of work, but once you get all your supplies ready, it really is an easy card to reproduce. So let's get started. I'm making 2 cards, so I'll need a few Whisper White cardstock and 2 pieces of Balmy Blue cardstock, and they're all 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, as well as 2 A2 size card bases in Whisper White. I've pre-cut 4 of these trees right here using my In the Woods framelits and my silver foil sheet. So I used these 2 dies right here. For my sentiment, I used this stamp from the Peaceful Noel stamp set. I also used the Candy Cane Season stamp set for the sled and the adorable Bella and Friends stamp set, and I used this stamp right here. For my inks, I used Berry Burst, Night of Navy, and Balmy Blue. I also used this tree stamp from the Winterwood stamp set right here. And finally, Bella's Santa hat came from the Santa's Workshop Memories and More card pack. I am using my silicone mat for the mirror image technique so that I can make Bella face the other way. I am simply inking her up with my Tuxedo Black ink pad and stamping her directly onto my mat. Next, grab one of your Whisper White cardstock pieces and place it directly on top of your image and then gently rub. And so now Bella is facing the right way. A quick tip if you're doing multiples, make sure that you clean your mat before doing your next image. And I'll show you again how quick and easy this technique is. Then I just quickly colored my Bellas, and now I'm just fussy cutting them. Moving on to my candy cane, I decided to use my Cherry Cobbler ink pad for this. And I'm just stamping it on my scrap piece of Whisper White cardstock. And then I'm just punching it out using the coordinating candy cane punch. This one's candy cane is white heat embossed as an alternative. Now I'm moving on to my sponging, and I'm using my Balmy Blue, Night of Navy, and Berry Burst ink pads for this. And as you can see, I'm just randomly putting down color onto my cardstock. You don't need to worry about the bottom part, as this will be covered up by the snowbanks anyway. Next, I'm just spraying these with my shimmer spray, which is just water and a few drops of my Frost White shimmer paint. While waiting for my pieces to dry, I'll start working on my snowbanks. I'll be using this die from the In the Woods framelit set and 2 pieces of Whisper White cardstock. When placing your die, just make sure that these 2 spaces are almost equal. And you'll end up with these 2 pieces. For the smaller hill, we'll only need half of this piece of cardstock. Place your die the same way and run it through your Big Shot, and you'll end up with 2 smaller pieces. So while I had my Big Shot out, I thought it was a good idea to do my embossing now as well. But this turned out to be a mistake, so don't do this. Stamp the trees on the mountains before doing this step. Anyway, if you made the same mistake as I did, I'll show you how I fixed it later on. So now I'm just using my softly falling embossing folder to give some snowy texture onto my hills. Next, I'm just lightly sponging the edges of my hills for a shadow effect. And I'm using my Balmy Blue ink pad for this. And now that my background pieces are dry, it's time to get them wet again with this spray, which is just white acrylic paint and water. Moving on to my sentiment, I have my 2 circle vellum pieces and I'm using my embossing buddy on them since I will be heat embossing my sentiment onto these. I'll just cover it with my white embossing powder and then heat set it. I forgot to mention that I used my 2-inch circle punch for my vellum pieces. Now that I have all my pieces ready, it's time to assemble my cards. Just adhere your background piece onto your card base. And just trim off the excess if there's any. Next, just stamp your trees in the background using the Night of Navy ink pad. And here's my boo-boo. I should have stamped my trees first before embossing because as you can see, I'm not getting crisp images. So to quickly fix this, I decided to just run my pieces through my Big Shot again to flatten the embossed areas. And now my stamped images look better. Next, just glue down the big hill onto your card. And don't forget to add the tree on the side, like I did. Speaking of forgetting things, I also forgot to stamp my background trees on my other card. Oops. Oh well, I think it still looks okay. Next, adhere the smaller hill onto your card using dimensionals. And glue down the other tree. Then I tape Bella onto the candy cane. And then added her onto my card using mini dimensionals. Almost done. Then I just added my sentiments. before finally covering everything with some lovely shimmer from my Wink of Stella. And these are my finished cards. Aren't they cute? I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial, crafters, and thank you so much for sticking with me through all my boo-boos. See you next time. Bye!